What'd you just get?
Getting caffeinated, grabbing a couple coffees, one for later, one for Paraic, and yeah, we're off to the wind tunnel now. Gotta find the good coffee shops in town. It's always fun doing that. Well, we're here in, we're just north of Charlotte in the town of Mooresville, I think. Cool little small town, actually. Found a good coffee shop, got a little caffeine. Today, we are going to the A2 wind tunnel to do a little testing, and the bike fitter who does my bike fits, Paraic, is out here and has done a ton of wind tunnel testing. He's, we haven't talked too much about him ever before, but if you follow me, you'll see that I post quite a bit when I do bike fits, and he's fit a number of pro tour cyclists, triathletes, just a bunch of people, and he's been out to the wind tunnel a few times for sure, and kind of specializes in this sort of stuff. So we're out here looking for some free speed, see if we can get a little faster in the tunnel, and gonna try and share, you know, as much as we can along the way. Hopefully give you guys a good look at the data that we get, and just kind of what the process is like when we come to a place like this, a wind tunnel, and what we kind of do to get ready for, you know, at least a few hours of testing in a place like this, and just kind of the process behind that.
Wanna heal your sorrow, just come to me. We'll make a new tomorrow. Talk to me. We'll make this happy.
Go. Here's a fun fact. My high school car was a Kia Sportage, but a 2009. So the new Kia, old one, Kia Sportage, new one, Kia Sportage. It's fancy Kia. Good omen that we have this car. Hello, hello. Good. A little bit of water. This is Andrew. You know Andrew. Remember him.
So this is the kind of dashboard of what we're going to have in here. So we've got all of our tunnel views, so I'm able to see what's happening, and we also have a motion capture system that we helped install in the tunnel,
Nice.
built in, so we can look and do overlays between your body position during all these things. This is our results sheet. So as data gets spit out, we'll see various different, you know, axes of what's going on. So we're going to enter in a race speed here, and it'll give us, you know, what's happening in terms of you gaining watts, losing watts.
Okay.
So, I think now what we should do is get you set up.
Yeah.
Get you into gear,
Cool.
get you warmed up. I don't want to waste any runs with your body warming up, so
I agree.
We'll get a trainer set up here.
Comfortable, less dragging, right? Yeah. Well, the sad part is, like, couldn't write it down as much as I wanted, but I tried to do a little bit.
I was gonna say, it didn't even want to come off with the simple game, so
yeah, I had a little bit of goo going on there.
Alrighty, so what we'll do first is let's just get you moving. We don't want to waste any tunnel runs on you getting warmed up. We'll have you do a little bit of hip mobility and spinal mobility before we get you in there. That way we mimic how you'd be coming out of the water, plenty warmed up. So right now it's not really about intensity, it's about just getting everything moving. Time is money in the wind tunnel, so we really want to make sure we get, you know, good data. So
Sure.
we've got a long list of kind of things to test ahead of us. Anything on your side is
No, I mean, you guys just coach me through, tell me what to do, and
Okay.
We'll go through all of the kind of the checklist that you have to make sure that we're as aero as possible.
Okay, perfect. So one of the first things we'll do is, Jeff, what do you think about just baselining the bike in current setup, just so we have that? Because we have some surprises.
Okay, I like surprises.
So we have done some modification of some stuff that we want to see, does it make a difference?
Yeah.
So, you know, let's see, can we modify your aero cross section with some other fun things?
Okay, awesome.
All right, let's get you warmed up,
Do it.
and we'll do a pressure baseline, and then the cameras in the tunnel, because we've got all that motion capture stuff, we don't really have to place as much emphasis on that. So
Okay, awesome.
we get everything else from there.
Cool.
All right,
Looking forward to it. Let's do it.
time to get fast.
Get faster.
One of the things about the very first tunnel baseline is it's really noisy.
Okay.
So when you start in there, you're going to get this sense of, holy shit. Now, a lot of people tense up.
Okay.
The more tense you are, actually, you'll stop moving a little bit.
Yeah.
So it might give us artificially low first run.
Okay.
So I want you to try and be as relaxed as possible. Don't be tense with the surroundings. We will do some pressure mapping as well, because I've got all your baseline pressure mapping stored here too. So
Cool.
when we have you in there, I want to make sure you're sitting in a place that's representative of how you've traditionally sat. So
Okay.
we'll have this baseline, we'll have all the video baselines, and obviously we've all the work we've already done. So
I feel kind of like an astronaut walking onto the spaceship
It's-
in here.
Not far off.
Yeah. Just like behind the arm. It's like we're going to the moon. It even looks like a rocket ship. Does this floor pop off?
What's that?
Can you like raise and lower the floor? Is that because it sounded hollow?
Oh no, so that's where all the measurement instrumentation is, below the ground floor, there's a pit.
Nice.
Like this.
Okay.
Even that 1 inch of difference, the head is one of the biggest things that will change the data. So that doesn't throw a spike into the data as much as it just moves the data around a little bit, right? So then the last thing is, every athlete does this. Bike seats are not comfortable, so as you ride, you kind of move your butt around on the seat a little bit. If you think about it, we've got strain gauges in here that are measuring the forces you're putting on the bike, right?
Okay.
You shift your whole body weight, even if you do it slowly, all the gauges pick up on that.
Okay.
So when the tunnel's moving, your butt stays rock solid on the seat where it is. Obviously, side to side, you're gonna shift a little bit as you pedal.
Yeah.
But beyond that, trying to get comfortable on the bike, if you're uncomfortable when the fans are on, you stay uncomfortable until the fans turn off.
Okay.
Okay?
3 minutes. I can handle 3 minutes of pain.
Yeah.
You guys can communicate with me from the screens or through an intercom or something. So I'll just, whatever your instructions are, just you guys just let me know and I'll
So
what
we'll
you say.
do our main communication is just going to be between runs, because
Okay.
during the run, you're supposed to be just doing the same thing the whole
Okay.
run, right?
Yeah.
So I do have a PA system. I'll come over the PA before every run, but again, we need consistency. So any little adjustments you make sure they're real little, so that we still get consistency from one to the next.
And sometimes if you feel like you're staying there for a long time, at 0 or at 7, it's because you're being inconsistent. Because sometimes him and I look at the data and we'll go, let's see,
Keep
can
going.
we get a
Okay.
better capture?
Okay.
One final thing, when you're doing zeros, because you can waste a lot of time with zeros,
Yeah.
don't try and be in your position. I mean, don't try and
Yeah.
just get into the position, settle. It's more important that, that if your head isn't in the perfect position, that doesn't matter for zeros. Okay? So don't go nuts trying to make it Perfect, because then you'll be adjusting.
And by zeros, he means when the air's off. When I say hold still for a zero, you get in your position, but it's a relaxed position. Once the fans come on, then you get in your tight position, whatever that may be.
Okay.
I think the last thing is, you may have noticed we've got you projecting onto the floor here. That's someone else's outline, but I'll give you an outline on the floor. We don't want you to fixate on that. You should have really good muscle memory, being an athlete, most do. And that's about it.
First run, I want it to be a relaxed representation of what you're like in the real world. I don't want you just trying to super shrug or do anything else. I want it to be.
I'll just go.
I want it to be you, but I don't want it to be stupid over the top anything. Okay, we'll go through figuring out what the best things are to make you aero as we go through the process.
Okay.
5, 7, 4. Very cool.
Are we looking at about 30 miles an hour?
No, I got it.
I like that I just looked in your eyes.
Okay, we have to try something radical. The grounds are high.
Okay.
Like much higher than I expected.
Okay.
So let's just see. I want to see is it something fundamental. All right. We've about 2,500 grams of drag or CDA of. If we average them all out at 0, you're in the 228, 231 range.
Okay.
Which is definitely, higher than I would have expected, especially with all the things on the bike and all the enhancements. So let's just make sure it's not something fundamental. If it is something like this, it's simple. Now, the one thing with this that I want to try this time around is let's not maybe take your head as low.
Okay.
Let's just keep your head a little bit more neutral, more like there. Can you feel the helmet giving you a little bit of feedback almost there?
No.
What about there?
Well, that's kind of a strain on my head if I go way back.
Okay. So can you do that pretty easy? Where do you think you are now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's just try this. I want to see, does it move the meter?
This basically tied with the Rudy, so I don't know what they've got next.
All right. So Ben, nothing felt different. That was the same you?
That's the same me.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, I was watching, I don't know what it looks like on the data, but it seemed pretty similar, and everything felt really similar too. And this is kind of, like you said, it's the baseline where it's not super.
Here is the summation. There's very little difference. So there's no major upside, or there's nothing. That was completely neutral, which is good.
Yeah.
So we have to work on what parameters are going to make a difference.
Yeah.
So first thing we're going to do is, how comfortable are you elbow width wise?
I'm comfortable. I've played around, like riding outside, like scooting in a little bit, and I think I have some space, because actually when I sit on the pads, I actually think I sit a little closer and then I just roll out.
Okay.
So I think that we have a little bit of space to move in for sure.
All right, Evan, let's go on pad change to the new pads.
So yeah, now we're just looking at, because you said we're around 250 and you want it to be like 100.
We're at, so in terms of CDA,
yeah,
we're at 229, between 229 and 231. That was your baseline.
Okay. With
that helmet. That last run, we were 227.
Okay, so
essentially similar. Tiny difference. Nothing that's appreciable. But we are looking at macro level change, which is interesting because we thought we were aero.
Yeah. It looks good on camera, but that's why you come to the wind tunnel, is to figure out.
So we were patting ourselves on the back. And to be fair, so with the analysis we've done of your race, I've been putting in a lower CDA than we have here. So you're netting out a good CDA in a race.
Okay.
In race conditions. It's, there is that balance between tunnel and outdoor, and that's why tomorrow we'll work on the position outside.
Okay.
How's the experience so far?
It's cool. Yeah. We've only done a couple runs and we're already making some changes. So our position is good. It's solid, but it's not as fast as we thought. So we're finding that free speed now, and this is why you come to the wind tunnel. Make sure that what you're seeing in the Fit Studio is what is actually happening. And I guess it's better than coming and just being like, okay, there's no more free speed to get. And this is probably the coolest part right here. You have 2 people working on your bike.
Well, the cool thing about working with Ben is, you know, we've been doing this together so long that when we ask Ben, hey, do this or do that, there's no, did you mean this or did you mean that or did you mean the other? It's just moves through and does what needs to be done. So it's the more you work with a person before coming here, the more value you get. So it's definitely.
Well, and we couldn't, like, every time we've come in, you've maybe moved me a few millimeters in the position, like up front or the saddle. It's just very minor adjustments. So now everything looks good, I'd say, like from a biomechanics standpoint and from, you know, just looking at the picture, but you can't really see what the air is doing until you come here.
Plus, with all the strength work you've done and all the changes you've made to your body,
Yeah.
you know, you're able to sustain the position. And, you know, when we look at your race footage and when we look at how you are compared to other athletes, you're not searching for the position, you're not wondering, you're not coming out of the position, you're not, you know, you're much more consistent. So when we were doing the zeros, which is when we're zeroing the balance, what's called the balance here, you know, you sat in there and just boom, we were able to get ready to go, which is huge.
Yeah. I did get yelled at because I moved my fingers.
Well, so here's an interesting wind tunnel fact. Because, thank you, Evan. Here, you know, the air temperature will rise as we go through the testing. Because believe it or not, the friction of the air molecules or the air particles moving over the sides of the tunnel and moving through what's called, moving through the screens at the front, actually that friction increases the temperature. So if you're in a completely closed wind tunnel, like some of the tunnels we've worked in, there's more surfaces interacting with the air, so it'll get hotter faster. This tunnel, because it has a big open intake area, doesn't tend to get as hot as some of the other tunnels. So we will see a temperature change, but it won't be huge. So we've just made it narrower. One of the effects of a narrower position is it can sometimes pop your head up. So we're going to check here. You can see on the projection on the floor. We have the overview of Ben's position. So now we're going to get to look and see, has this narrower position adversely affected his body position? Because at the end of the day, wind tunnel is all about how the air is moving over the body. So now we can see the air hasn't negatively influenced the position. How does it feel, Ben?
Yeah, it feels pretty good.
Have you lost any support?
A little bit.
Just out of curiosity, I wanted to compare the pictures of our baseline versus the arrowhead run. Look at your hands.
Right here?
No, here.
Oh.
So definitely be more mindful of your hand position. It's got to be exactly the same every time.
Okay.
So,
See what he says? See what he says.
okay, let's go see.
Good. Saw a lot of picture flipping. Doing something wrong with my position? Or?
No, what we were doing is, so we were looking at your baseline versus now to establish what changed.
Okay.
So with this, so what's really interesting is the elbow pad change and everything else, it looks like your head is actually significantly lower.
And I think too, like that baseline, like I'll say, I tried to be more conservative with having it higher rather than lower.
Right.
But I mean, just feeling narrower, I think it gets me to kind of get, and I wasn't trying to tuck, like at the very end, once you guys shut everything off, you saw I was kind of like messing around with it a little bit, but yeah.
So it didn't feel harder?
No, I think when I got up, I felt there's a slightly different muscles maybe being used a little bit more, but it feels really similar. I would say, like, maybe if anything, we could bump these forward just a bit so the back end of them is a little bit more supportive, but otherwise, like that narrower didn't like feel like, oh man.
Breathing didn't feel any different?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. Well, what we're going to do is we'll move that pad forward. I don't think it'll impact much other than it feels a little bit more sustained. So the last change we made is by putting on a super aerodynamic suit, just so as we have a baseline against his sponsor equipment. you know, sometimes there's a sense in a race that, you know, you feel like something's off and it plays with your mind. So with testing other competitor equipment, it helps give the athletes some certainty that what they're racing in is indeed the best thing for them. Again, that was the first non-neutral.
Okay.
In other words, you know, we saw a bump of a change. Now, we're seeing changes in your area, we're seeing changes in your body, but a lot of the time when you have a fundamentally very good position, you don't see a big bump in CDA. So some of this, unfortunately, is a testament to all the hard work we've already done. So it's you know, and we were asking Jeff, he said, how often does this happen? And he says, about 1 in 20 people, we can make a myriad of changes, and in his experience, people who come in with pretty dialed positions, sometimes you don't get the massive gains.
Yeah, okay.
So,
you want the suit off now?
I would say in terms of expediency, actually this is going to take a while, so yeah. So Bontrager has a purpose-designed aero fairing, well it's not, aero device to put a single bottle on. So Ben had something that was sitting lower. What this does is move the cage a little bit higher in the airflow. Also, it's got a truncated kind of more aerodynamic shape here, so it will help the airflow potentially flow off here a little bit better. And the idea is, you know, we test everything. So this has put the cage higher, and maybe it'll smooth the airflow coming off his back. So we'll see. So because there was a minimal change, he's gone back to his Santini suit. So we have the Santini suit and then new hydration. Same in the aggressive position.
Same drag, lower, the same amount lower.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah. So no lower. So conservative position was the lowest of the conservative positions.
Yeah.
More race, I'm going really fast position is also the lowest.
Yeah, and I think that was, you know, again, I really tried to like stick it so I didn't want to move around much, but I think that's one of those positions, especially at this power, that I feel like I can just like kind of keep like settling into a little bit.
So to give you some numbers, it's about a minute faster.
Okay.
Over 56K.
So what's that number? Is that like the point?
So we went down to a .227.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's, I forget what the 7.5 degree is, but it's significant.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, 215.
Cool. That's
Sorry,
awesome.
213.
Yeah. 213. Okay. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
Nice.
At yard. So that's a good improvement.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now the question remains, what if anything else? And that's always the dilemma with wind tunnel is, you know, what's next? So we've tried higher, we've tried lower. Sorry, I don't think more lower is really.
It's not going to do much.
It's not going to do much at all. And so our gains are narrower, revised pads. Low definitely works better, and then we have, you know, the amended hydration.
Okay. Yeah.
Position change?
Yeah, I think we need to try something more radical.
Okay. Let's do it.
So let's do, I'm going to call this, so one of the things you can do to potentially change your drag, this is not going to be a sustainable position. This is going to be where you're almost running out of gears, where you know this is the critical point of the course. So what I'm going to get you to do is I want you to, instead of putting your elbow where you normally do, I want you to put your elbow there. And the reciprocal piece of that is I want you to take a 2-finger grip there. And I want you to really concentrate on using some upper body strength to...
This is what I was talking about that I like.
Yeah. So, but I want you to use this to pull the head particularly forward.
Yeah.
All right, so almost trusting. So nose almost in the bridge there.
Yep.
Okay. So that's So let's try that.
Okay.
Okay, so
I mean, I can even have my elbows in the same spot.
now the one thing I don't want you to do is to drag your ass forward.
Yeah.
I don't want you to feel like you're getting a proctology exam.
Okay.
I want it to be in the same place in the center.
Cut that.
I want the 210 flat at 7.5 degrees.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right, let's see what we got. Or do some, yeah, exactly.
Like this.
Yeah,
Maybe even.
this is Evan's favorite thing. Come on.
Yeah. Okay. So what if you took? Yeah, like exactly like we just did.
I feel more comfortable with the left.
Yeah.
on the
So
bottom.
see how put that like that, and then have this. See how you can, if you rock your wrist forward, you can almost get a little more reach.
Oh,
Yeah. Like this. Yeah. Because then imagine. Yeah. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because if I put my hand like that, then essentially gives that platform.
Yeah.
How does that feel? Can you ride for a second in that?
Yeah.
And then like,
And then there's
you
a
can
thing.
think about this being nice.
Think about that imaginary screen pulling the shoulders forward.
So should I have all my hands, or can I?
No, I think it's best to grip it this way. You feel like you can see. Can you pull the bars like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're too flat, then there's no like grip force. But with that, you have the grip force. Keep the hand kind of wrapped. And then
I'll try it.
That's exciting.
All right.
Exciting.
So, this is something we've been working on for a very long time and actually helped win a bunch of medals in the Olympic Games. And it's a way of stabilizing the wrist and doing some things that you're not allowed to release this video until we've done some things.
This is cut that for real.
But it really just proved itself out. Save the best to last. That's all we can say for now.
Is that what you're looking for?
You made a 10% difference.
Really? So I was under
10% difference. You were at 202.
in the race, y'all.
Yeah.
All right.
And then
My buddy Steven will be happy about that, because he would always do this stuff.
no. What we did is special, and we've told,
I know, but
we
that's-
can't talk about some of the details around this, but
Yeah.
there's stacked hands and there's what you did, and they're not the same.
Yeah. No, for sure. And that was cool to see the progression of just the base to the first cue
Right.
to the second cue in like
Well, that's
that.
why we don't start with that.
Yeah.
It's not.
Well, and that just goes to show too, like, we probably said this like 5 times already, but what we did in the studio and in that virtual wind tunnel with the green screen, like very accurate for us, because we came in here and we didn't change much with the position or the bike itself. It was more positioning cues that got the biggest.
But we have to go further back. We have to
Yeah.
go back to Ben sitting crooked on the bike.
Exactly.
Ben not able to do this, and then you worked with, is it your strength and conditioning folks?
Yeah, Matt Pendle, Bobby
No,
McGee.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, and then some of that fed into your run, gait, and those changes
Mm-hmm.
and changes in performance. And it's been synergetic altogether. So
Yeah.
we had Ben that couldn't sit straight and had to have a taller position. Then we had, I'm going to focus on position, and then it got better. Then we iterated, made you lower, brought you forward, stretched you out. I mean, and then over time, as you got stronger, I mean, how many times did you call me and say, I don't understand, but I need to come in?
Yeah,
And
no,
then-
we had to keep doing it. It was every few months. We had to
Right.
keep minor adjustments, big adjustment, then minor
And
adjustment.
then 18 months ago, 2 years ago,
Yeah.
it was the first time you came in after working together for 4.5 years that I said, what?
That was, 18, and was that after Italy? Right?
Yeah,
Right
yeah.
after St. George, that I looked the worst on my bike that I had.
Exactly.
And that was because we didn't do a bike fit for a while because it was 2020.
Right.
We were racing, a lot of other stuff, like multiple different types of racing. And then between like not training enough and over racing, plus all the strength work especially, I was like cramped up and
Yeah.
falling off the side of my bike. And then once we fixed that and we got into the later part of that season, we had the shortest bike fits ever.
Right.
And Andrew was there, he saw it. I was like, he got maybe 2 pictures and maybe 1 video, and you're like, all right, we're done. I thought I was gonna show the whole process of the bike fit, and it was like, all right, that's it. So, based on the baseline start position to the overlapped hands, the fastest position I had at the end.
Divided by 60, we found ourselves 2.06 minutes.
So over 2 minutes between the baseline, just, you know, kind of max height I would say that I would race at, versus when I get very aggressive, I could hold that for the whole half. Right. Which, if we're talking realistically, I could do it for portions of the race, but it's not always possible to do that the entire. But that would be a 2-minute difference plus.
And we haven't given you all the things that are going to help you be able to do this.
Yeah.
So once we add in this mystery thing we're talking about, I think it'll be...
Look for my bike in the transition area if you want to find the mystery thing.
I think it's going to be...
I don't even know what the mystery thing is right now. He's being very secretive, so I can't share anything.
Yeah. So the mystery thing will make this super sustainable.
Okay. That's good to know too. So when we're going this, we kind of talked before, like I knew coming into this we might just confirm what we've been doing. We were talking and you said, oh, we'll find some speed, I just don't know where yet. So in starting numbers versus finishing numbers, where do you is this kind of what you expected now where we ended, or is this...
No, so everything we've done in the years we've been working together is a process.
Yeah.
And today, at the start of the process, Evan and I could have said, all right, let's go straight to dessert.
Mm-hmm.
You know, let's go straight to the, you know, the thing we know we want to get to. But if you don't go through the steps where you feel this is better, this is worse, and you know, you put the hard work in, you know, that's why you have dessert at the end of your meal.
Yeah.
Right? So we went back and forward. We saw, you know, we were dancing around the number, and then we said, okay, now that we've found that your position is basically solid, we changed so many different things, it made minimal differences. Then when we overlaid the posture, we overlaid, okay, Ben, let's now get into that more aggressive position. We found some savings, and then we overlay the secret sauce posture.
Yeah.
And then we got, you know, the biggest savings. You know, it's the best of times in the wind tunnel when your last one is your best one.
Yeah. And so in this too, in raw numbers, did you have expectations for where we ended or anything like that? Now in terms of like race numbers and stuff, is this like for somebody who doesn't know drag at all?
I'm not going to lie, I was disappointed. I was disappointed when we came in and you were 2,500 grams or 0.229.
Mm-hmm.
I based on the way you've raced, based on how good you look, I was like, I don't get it. What are we missing?
Yeah.
However, you know, aerodynamics is like the worst girlfriend you've ever had. You never know what the worst girlfriend you've ever had is going to do. It's like, are they going to be evil? Are they going to be sweet today? Yeah. We came in today and aerodynamics was evil.
Yeah.
You know, so you can convince yourself you're in a situation aerodynamically, and we weren't quite there. But most of the time, you know, the most odd people are sometimes super aerodynamic. You're not as aerodynamic as we thought we were, but that doesn't mean, you know, if we hadn't done all the work, you'd be, I mean, I can't think of how...
Could be worse. Yeah, so it's not like the position was bad, it's just we expected from the way it looked to be better, but this is why you come to the wind tunnel, because you don't know how the air reacts in your position.
Exactly.
And we just tweaked some stuff. We found out it wasn't equipment, like we confirmed that race suit, helmet, all the bottles on the bike, everything is good. So then we played around with position, which, I mean, is a bike fit. That's what people do. And then we played around with it here.
But the thing with a wind tunnel is you don't know what combination of permutations of things are going to work. Mm-hmm. So using the virtual wind tunnel, you know, we got good data, and it helped you find a good posture and how to maintain it. You know, this is all well and good.
Yeah, we would have wasted our time if I came a year and a half ago. Or not wasted our time, but we wouldn't be maybe at these numbers because we spent a lot of time in the studio and in the virtual wind tunnel, which was essentially just a green screen looking at your area and simulating the wind. This just shows us exactly how.
All of those proprioceptive cues, those body position cues you've gained, are the reason why, you know, or at least the foundation of you winning.
Yeah.
You don't win if all the things don't fit together.
Yeah.
This is just going to add another layer again. And I don't think we're done. Tomorrow, we have to make sure when we work together outside, this is all pie in the sky unless you can do it in the real world.
Yeah.
So tomorrow, it's, this is, we need to convert it to the real world.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Excellent. Onward we go. The journey continues.
Day 2 coming up.
Cool. So the goal today is to establish we have 4 years of pressure mapping for you, and we know that you're very stable on the saddle. In our last few runs we came up with some really fast stuff. Now we got to make sure we can do that sustainably. So there may be some follow-up fit stuff that we have to do in the lab to kind of make sure we get that done. So this is GBMI's saddle pressure mapping technology. Stability basically equals speed, as we know from all the work we've done. So what we want to make sure is that nothing we've done at the wind tunnel yesterday messes up anything else, because that was a 2-3 minutes of going hard or going at the pace we were going. This has got to work for half Ironman, so we got to figure that out. So this morning what we'll do is we'll get you warmed up, we'll get you out to where we do testing. Once we have you out there, you can put a jacket on over this to kind of get out there to get nice and warm. Then we'll get out there to the test area. Once we're out at the test area, then we'll put this on, make sure the position is stable from a pressure mapping. So I have a laptop in the car that will live monitor this as we're pedaling. Okay. So this has 64 sensors, it transmits 200 times a second, and we'll be able to follow live and see what his posture is like and how stable he is in the bike. And stability, like we said, is a key element of making a position that's sustainable and aero. So we're live, pressure mapping's working. We can see that Ben's got a pretty symmetric position. We'll do our first capture just while he's settling in. So what we want to see is a good center of pressure. We want to see a nice stable position. And you can see he's settling in a little bit now because he's not very even on the saddle, moving around a little bit more than normal, but he's not warmed up yet, so we expect this to get a little bit better. No high pressure, which is good, but we'll see how he settles in. So we tested the position with a slight tailwind, now we'll test it with a slight headwind. Ben was getting into both the positions, which was great, and the pressure mapping was exactly as we expected. To Evan's point about core and everything, I mean...
And that was like, 250 to 300 watts, so like not super hard, but still solid. Oh yeah.
So that is our position from the tunnel yesterday.
Okay.
And how we know that is, I have your tunnel references here. So there's your last race position, which I've been kind of referring to.
Yeah.
So if you look at the gap here between your head, and then we look at what we had just a second ago.
Yeah, much less.
So see that? So the head's lower. Now you were sighting a little bit here, so you do sit lower than this. So we have closed up that gap. And then for reference to what we had in the tunnel itself, so this is the more advanced position, which we'll test next. But you can see how much lower that is.
Yeah.
And how much further forward you came on the bike.
Well, it's good too, because I mean, there was maybe a 5-minute warm up as well, and to be able to hit that position without limbering up a lot, I think that's a good positive.
You looked really, especially in the crosswind, you looked absolutely dialed.
So he settled into that beautifully. The secondary position looked amazing. This is slow-mo. He dropped his head lower, came a little bit further forward on the saddle. Hands are stacked exactly like we did in the tunnel, and looks amazing. Pressure mapping, this is just a second ago, where you can come out of the position a little bit. So that's why it's all messy, but overall, exactly what I'd expect. That's pretty much Exactly what we'd want. So with this run, we're going to concentrate mainly on video. He's pretty much straight headwind right now, and there's a lot of crosswinds. So we've taken the saddle pressure mapping off just to see his position more sustainable that way. The saddle pressure mat is a little bit slippery, so we'll see what happens. So we're going to focus mainly on video in this run.
How'd it look?
So it looked really solid.
Okay.
I mean, you could tell you're working more because you were pretty much straight headwind.
Yeah.
But you could feel when you stacked your hands, you could pull your body more down.
Yeah. No, and I usually, like, whether it's with the grip pulling in or even with that, like, it just is more stabilizing. And yeah, the power went up a little bit too, just kind of like getting into it. So I think it'll take a little bit of time to keep working that and keep that lower, especially during races, but like that's a really good tool to have. And no, it felt stable. And like this here too, I mean, there will be some races like this, but like this was really weird because it was like you get crosswinds from both sides, it'd go, and then it gusts from the other side, so it's not even like you could stabilize and like settle in. You kind of had to be aware.
So like an ocean hitting you from...
Yeah, well, at least like in Oceanside, it's going to be a straight headwind the last 15 miles versus like this was like crosswind, 5 seconds later, other crosswind, headwind. So it felt swirly, but it was good that you guys saw me being stable and being able to handle that.
Well, the things that are clear to me is one, when you go active position, so, you know, or less aggressive, non-stacked hands, you can see your whole body kind of sinks down into it. Mm-hmm. We saw that in the data yesterday, that your active position is significantly more effective. And then stacked hands works. I mean, it's, you can see your body lowering even more. So stability's good. All the work with Pintolas paid off. I think the team is converging on some good performances. Yeah,
I think so as well. So yeah, this is really awesome, and it'll be cool to see it, you know, develop now in the next few races.
Yeah, excellent.
Awesome. There's that super cool tree again. Look how big that is.
Yeah, look at that.
We're out here in the middle of nowhere. So, all right. So, day 2 of testing. That was just making sure that what we did outside or inside of the wind tunnel translates to outside, and got really good feedback from Paraic and Evan at Cyclologic. Had a really good day of testing yesterday, worked outside, saw a lot of cool things, and we have some stuff to kind of add to the bike to make it more sustainable of a position, instead of just this active, use it only a few little times. We're just working on getting lower and faster for longer. So this trip was all about confirming what we did in the Fit Studio and the virtual wind tunnel for the past 4 years pretty much, and working on the position to just get more and more aggressive. And we confirmed that I've got, you know, pretty much top of the line equipment, and it compares to what other people's A standards are. So that's a testament to my sponsors and the companies I work with, that they make, you know, awesome stuff, and it works really well with my position and my riding. And then we moved on, and it became, you know, trying to figure out what's the fastest position, tweaking the hands, tweaking the head, pulling the body forward just a little bit. So we learned a lot, and we found some time, and that was super cool to see. It's always awesome when you could find like a little free speed. And now the biggest challenge always is, just like in training, you want it to translate to the race. So if, you know, we said in earlier, like if I was able to hold that stacked hands position for the entire 70.3, you know, that's 2 minutes over a 70.3 with that 137 grams ish of like the air drag saved. But obviously 70.3 isn't a straight line. So just trying to pick up, you know, good time here or there, be more efficient, and that's going to translate to, you know, either a faster bike, faster run, and it's just those tools to have. So I could keep going on. I'm pretty excited about what we found and the ways that we're implementing it. I have a really great team behind me and people just making this all work, from the guys who were here this weekend to my coach Jim Vance, strength coach Matt Pendola, who, I mean, those guys were saying how stable I looked in the crosswinds here. And again, this was kind of worst conditions you could have to like test a position with, cold, not doing a super long warm-up, and then crazy swirly crosswinds that make it hard to stay stable. And the fact that I'm able to hold that is a really good sign. So that's awesome. I hope you guys enjoyed all of the cool data. I just think the wind tunnel looks cool. Time trial in full race gear is always fun. And yeah, just stay tuned and hope to bring you more stuff like this about the process and how we go about getting faster.